Impossible!
Just gonna die in the end.
Off train. Okay, guys. Today we're going to talk about something that is one of the most misunderstood laws, concepts there is as far as YouTubers and the issues that directly affect them, and that's fair use. Fair use is a very vague, very brief section of copyright law. And the conversations here at YouTube in the comment section of videos and videos themselves and stuff are some of the most misinformed things you'll ever see. So I'm going to try and clear up some of the misconceptions about fair use, give you an idea of exactly what it is and what it isn't, and then I will take one by one some of the biggest misconceptions that are bandied about on YouTube all the time. I'll take them one by one. First, let's start to understand a little bit about what fair use is. Okay, as I mentioned, fair use is a very brief section of copyright law, and it's a very rather vague section of copyright law. I fully believe, and in the way it's written, I think this backs me up, it is vague intentionally, and that's actually a good thing. That's what you want. You want cases of fair use to be handled on an individual basis, particularly since the fair use regulations were written prior to the digital age having become a thing, and the digital age has probably done more to muddy the waters of fair use than anything else has in history. Now, these details I'm getting you come right from copyright.gov. I don't go to the opinions of other people or things of that nature. I have the fair use doctrine here open, and then at copyright.gov some further explanation that they give for each element of fair use, which begins with the purpose and character of the use, including, and I'm quoting, including whether the use is of a commercial nature or is for nonprofit educational purposes. All they will tell you in here is what courts look at. There is no definitives in here, and they're very clear about the fact that there are no definitives. Basically, in this section, what the copyright.gov explains is they're more likely to grant fair use, a court is, when it's used for educational and non-commercial purposes, but they very clearly dictate that that's not a given. And that it's also not a given that if you use something commercially, that it won't fall under fair use. So basically what they're saying is they think there's a little bit of an edge, there is in the courts, or has been prior in the courts, a little bit of an edge towards educational non-profit use, but there are, once again, no definitives. Then they talk about the nature of the copyrighted work. And here they say it analyzes the degree to which the work was used related to the copyright's purpose of encouraging creative expression. So basically that's saying that a movie or something or a song is less likely to support a claim of a fair use than using a factual work. That's kind of a given as well. Again, but just because one is more likely to fall under fair use, it does not eliminate any others at all. Amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. They'll again go on to say that's a factor that the courts will take into account, but they say themselves, that said, some courts have found use of an entire work to be fair under certain circumstances. In other words, they leave everything vague. And then it says, effect of the use upon potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. That's very important, because from what I've been able to glean, and just common sense would tell you, that if you're harming somebody's ability to make a profit with their work, then you're very unlikely to win a fair use case. So that's something very important to consider when you're trying to decide if a creation or a work you're doing falls under fair use guidelines or not. That's a really big deal. And we're going to get into all of those more so individually. But first, let's go to the misconceptions people have here on YouTube about how to prevent themselves from being victim of a copyright claim because they are using the fair use defense. Putting up a disclaimer. Yeah, a lot of people like to do that, either in the description, on the video itself, or both. Typically it says something along the lines, something either as simple as, no copyright infringement intended. Or you get the more longer detailed one that this work falls under the DMCA guidelines, blah, 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 blah. And at the end it says, and no infringement is intended in any way. Does that make a difference if someone wants to file a claim against you? Nope, not even a little bit. Listen, if you're out driving your car and you get distracted and you veer that car into a whole line of parked cars and just bash the shit out of them, but you have a bumper sticker on that says no property damage intended, guess what? You're still going to be on the hook for all the damage you did to those cars. The court doesn't care. Same thing here. That's something that people put on their videos. They think that it gets them free and clear within copyright, within fair use. It means nothing. The only thing that might do is maybe, and I doubt it, it might prevent somebody who has no idea of how fair use and copyright works, prevent them from filing a claim against you. Maybe I guess that might. They're dumb if they think that's a preventive. You know, if somebody's going to go in and say, "Oh, geez, that's my material, and I don't want you using it." Oh crap! But you put in that no copyright infringement was intended. Well, guess I'll just deal with it. No, you want to put those disclaimers up? Have a good time. Do they mean anything legally? Nope. Well, here's one we see a lot of on YouTube. Listen, I didn't violate their copyright because I changed the audio pitch, the speed of the audio, or I changed the video display size. I either put the display, I made two different displays of differing sizes, or I'm zooming in, zooming out on the video as it goes, or I changed the opacity. That's a favorite too. I've got the opacity down so much that it doesn't matter. And how do people justify this? How do they justify the fact that they're no longer infringing on copyright? Well, because I didn't get a claim filed against me. You didn't get a claim filed against you because all those things you just tried are simply to try and trick the auto detect system. And they work a lot of times in the tricking the auto detect system. That's all you've done. As soon as somebody comes in and looks at your material, a real person from this production company, from this music company, wherever the case may be, comes in and looks at your material, they don't give a shit if you change the opacity. They don't care if you change the display size. They don't care if you made the audio higher, pitch higher, lower, whatever. They're still going to file the copyright claim. It's still their copyrighted material. Now, that's not to say that you can't claim fair use. It's just to say that doing these things doesn't give you a claim of fair use. If you're doing any of this, you're just trying to trick the auto detect system. If that's what you're doing, if that's your game, that's fine. I don't do that. I would rather do things the way that I feel are fair, that I am within fair use. And if somebody thinks that I'm not, they have every right. A production company, whatever, has every right to believe that. Let's settle it in court and see who's right and who's wrong. But those things do not protect you from a copyright claim at all. All they're doing is trying to trick the auto detect system. And I would say if you do get hit with a copyright claim, you're almost admitted guilt, because why would you have made these changes to it unless you felt that putting it up in its original form was violating somebody's copyright? Well, they can't come after me because I saw on YouTube that somebody else has had this video posted up here forever. So if they can post it, I can. Nope. That's like, again, let's go out into the world of traffic again. If you're driving down an interstate, you're driving down a highway, and the outside lane, it's a 65-mile-an-hour zone, and the outside lane is going 75. All you're doing is blending in with that 75-mile-an-hour outside lane. Everybody, there's a line of cars 2 miles long. We're all going 75 together, having a good time. Cop stops you. Lets the 2,000 other people go, stops you. Gives you a ticket. You go to the judge and say, well, everybody else is doing it. Judge says, yeah, good for you. Pay the fine. Here's your points on your license. Doesn't matter. You were still breaking the law in that situation. It doesn't matter if anyone else is doing it. It may be unfair. It may seem unfair. It may be unfair. Whatever. life isn't fair. You were still breaking the law as well. It doesn't matter if somebody else has posted it. And it doesn't even matter if you bring to the production company's attention that somebody else has posted it. For whatever reason, the production company can go, yeah, I don't care if they post my shit, but I care if you do. They have the right to do that. Again, none of that says you can't use a fair use defense. It's just saying that because somebody else posted it does not in any way, shape, or form alleviate you from your duties of proving fair use. And in no way, shape, or form does it stop you from having a copyright claim filed against you. If you see it posted elsewhere, does it make it a little less likely that you'll get a copyright claim? Probably, but it doesn't mean anything as far as an actual claim coming to you. Okay, so we've covered a lot of the biggest misconceptions. So you want to do things under fair use. What do I have to do? Well, First of all, you have to look at, okay, let's think about if somebody's going to come after your creation or your upload. What are they coming after? Are they going to sue you monetarily? They can. But if they're suing you for money, the first thing most any court should do and would do is ask the complainant to prove where they have been damaged financially. So, in other words, if you're just posting an episode of a series and there's nothing else added to it, pretty easy for them to say, okay, well, them posting it here on YouTube it allows people to have a venue to watch this at that I haven't approved of, where I can have my ads or charge my prices for admission to see it. Yes, you will likely be successfully sued for a dollar amount. If you have added anything to this, and again, let's go back to our details on the copyright work here. Let me find that. Another context. I'm just trying to find. Thus, a more creative or imaginative work. In addition, transformative uses. That's what's important. Additionally, transformative uses are more likely to be considered fair. That's very, very important. So basically what that is saying is if you've done something transformative, which again, you can make a clear case that a reaction video, I know that because I make reaction videos, that's what it does. Now, how do you prove that it's transformative enough? For me, I have, with watching anime reaction videos, which we don't have any here at YouTube because they have an entirely different system here that just disallows for it, not under legal terms, under YouTube guideline terms. I have my defense all in line, all my ducks in a row. I know exactly how I will defend it, and I think I can defend it successfully. I'm not going to detail all of those things. It would be kind of stupid to put it out there. I'll give you one of the big ones, though. One of the big factors I have going in a defense is we're talking about whether or not it is transformative. If you look at my reaction to an anime episode, I can give you the courts tens of thousands, literally tens of thousands of comments on these videos that prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the people watching me have already seen the existing material, the original material. You guys see it all the time because that's what we discuss in the reaction videos. It's like, oh man, how many times do you see this? I can't wait for Curtis to get to episode blank, blank, blank. I can't wait for him to see this. And then somebody else comes in and says, yeah, that's cool, but what about that? And every time that's done, it's just more proof that everybody watching, or the vast, huge majority of people watching, are entirely familiar with the original material. Given that, why would they be watching unless that they were wanting to watch for what I add to it, which is my reaction to it? Now, that's not the only, by far and away, not the only element I have in proving my fair use, but it's a big one. And again, there are tens of thousands of those comments. And very, very, very few have I ever gotten where somebody says, oh man, I'm enjoying watching this for the first time with you. And when I get those, my immediate direction is, well, stop. Go binge watch it, then come back and watch the reaction if you want to see it. But that's the reason I bring that up is look at what you're putting out there. Look at what you're uploading. Are you making it transformative enough? Now, we've seen cases of people doing, well, we saw what happened with Meat Canyon, with the whole Warner Brothers thing. Now, they didn't, if I'm understanding this correctly, Meat never went to court, but Warner Brothers basically in the court of YouTube won, saying that it could be taken down. If he had fought them, who can afford it? That's another big leverage these production companies have. Who can afford to fight them? Had he fought that in court, would he have won? I don't know. It's a close one. I think Meat would have had a really strong case. The one thing you have to watch is when you create something like that, is if you're using the names of the characters that were designated by the production company who made it, it makes it more difficult. But certainly the majority of companies understand that satire is a sincere form of flattery, and the courts have proven in the past that satire is acceptable fair use. Look at South Park. You know, do you think people like the Mentalist there, I forgot the guy's name, the guy that South Park went to town on and just ripped him to shreds about his ability to talk to John, I can't remember the guy's last name, about his ability to talk to the dead. You think he liked having that up there? Do you think Disney, one of the most litigious companies in the world, you've seen the things they did with the Jonas Brothers and Mickey Mouse kicking the shit out of them and telling them what to do. You think Disney didn't want to sue them over it? It's because they had, you're talking equal balance of lawyers there, of legalese, and the guys from South Park are saying, no, this is satire and I can do it. Meat would have exactly the same defense, and I think it would be an effective one. Now, a company can also sue just to have content removed. But again, not necessarily for anything monetarily. But typically they'll do that if you are just posting something without anything added to it, anything transformative, and they'll post to get it removed to, a cease and desist, which is usually the first step in a copyright claim, try and get you to stop doing it. And then it will also set a precedent for you on an individual basis, to where if they make you stop once, if you start uploading again, well, eventually they'll figure that can turn into a criminal charge, is what they're saying. As far as criminal charges, it goes without saying, I posted videos about it. That new bill that was passed, the Tillis bill, has nothing to do with any of this. The Tillis bill is directed expressly, explicitly, and very definitively only at pirate sites. It's not an issue. You don't have to bring it up in the comments. It's not an issue. Copyright on YouTube is no different today than it was the days before that bill was passed. Nothing whatsoever to do with it. So basically, that's the rundown, guys. Fair use law is very vague. It is intentionally vague. If you are honestly adding something to the original work, if you are transforming the original work, particularly, I believe, now I'm going into my opinion here when I say this. I believe you're going to see courts becoming more and more understanding of the society we live in now, and that things are different than they used to be. Reaction videos are a perfect example. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of reaction videos on YouTube. It's a very popular genre. Popularity does not equal legality, but what it does show is that the marketplace is changing, and there is now a marketplace of viewers who want to see other people reacting to this stuff. They've already seen the original content. Now they want to see somebody else's reaction. Will that hold up in court? Who knows? In individual courts might be a different thing, but it certainly makes for a stronger case. So look at your work. Look at what you're putting up there. Don't fall into those three misconceptions I outlined. Don't fall into any one of them and expect them to protect you from a copyright claim, because they won't. Those are all wild misconceptions. I'm going to put one more in there I almost forgot about too. I completely forgot about that. The 10-minute rule. I can watch a series, I can watch a show, or do a reaction to a show, as long as I don't put more than 10 minutes of the material up. Nowhere in fair use copyright law does it say anything about specific times. All it says is generally they take into account the amount of time used. What happened there was, I believe, some production companies on a specific show had said that they were cool with people doing reactions online as long as there's no more than 10 minutes. And that's awesome. That's cool that they allow that. Has nothing to, doesn't set a precedent in any way, shape, or form. The 10-minute thing, it is not the case. They can file against you for any amount of their content. Doesn't mean they're going to be right, but a lot of times with these big production companies, it doesn't even matter if they think they're right. What they're trying to do is just get you to stop because they have lawyers and you don't. And all the time when I was doing anime reactions here on YouTube, every time I got a copyright claim, I would file a counterclaim, never once got taken on with it. Why would they? A, I believe I can prove that it's fair use, and it's not to their advantage. I can certainly, without a doubt, prove where I'm not taking any money away from them. Actually, I can prove where me watching it and the way I go about it probably pumps up their product even more and gets more people to watch the original. But the biggest thing of all is, say that company decides to sue me, and I am right, and it is within fair use, you've just opened the floodgates for everybody. Because then I can make a series of videos on exactly how you go about doing it, and everybody can do it. So don't be bullied, but don't be stupid. You know, don't let these major companies bully you. If you think what you're doing is within fair use and you have reason to believe it's within fair use, don't be afraid because they filed a claim, counterclaim it. If you aren't doing things in a transformative nature, then you're running your own risk. If you want, if you want to keep doing it, that's up to you. But eventually, they will likely make a legal issue out of it. So that's where fair use stands. Hopefully this helps out some. You got any specific questions that I didn't cover here? Let me know in the comments. I'll answer them best I can. Talk to you later.